Late today, but I'm here. Today's episode, we could call it From Survival Mode to Strategy. Small moves that create income options. Now, last time I did an official Thursday Gigs and Side Hustles show was just before Christmas. I was in a really dark place. If you saw that episode, I was in a really dark place. So now I'm trying to make it more positive, give us some hope for the new year, rebuilding some of that momentum. You know, when the job market is scarce and energy is low, it's dark out all day. We got the short days we're dealing with here in January, and we're just starting to come out of that. The darkest time of the year in December, I must have just been depressed because it was dark. But if you're not finding a job or you don't have the job you want and you're looking for that side hustle to contribute to your income or just as a creative outlet, maybe I'm gonna try to talk about that. I got like seven things that I got to talk about today. And last week it was all about survival mode. Last episode I was in a really dark place. Today it's about regaining control, right? Even when the job market feels stacked against you. I know there's so many of us out there searching for work, and we're not getting the work. We're not getting the traditional job. Why is that? Why are we not finding those jobs? In the HR industry, I have decided, I go up and down on this. Some days I'm just like, well, maybe I just want to get a good HR job, and I'll apply for every HR job I can think of, even entry-level HR jobs, right? And then other times I'm like, well, I got a lot of experience and skills, so I'm only going to apply for those really great sounding jobs with great organizations. And crickets, it's always crickets, man. I don't know. I'm with you on that. That's why I decided a few years back, mainly during the pandemic, that, well, I'm going to work to build my business. And I've got it to a point where I'm just basically above survival mode, right? Like, my business makes so little money that I'm constantly having to brainstorm and do things like this while I'm creating content to try to get feedback or try to get new ideas. How do I market my business? How do I get new clients? The same thing. And then I have this creative outlet where I'm creating designs and I'm putting them on my TeePublic store, and it's mainly funny HR type stuff. Think Dilbert type stuff, right? And that's kind of that feeling, not the cartoon per se, but that feeling of terrible bosses, terrible work-life culture, things like that. So it appears I'm tired and my tea's already gone. All right, I'm going to try to focus on, in today's show, I'm going to try to focus on small, realistic income moves that don't require passion, perfection, or a 5-year plan. If you're job hunting, underemployed, or burnt out, this episode is about creating options, not necessarily chasing dreams. The first step to getting to your dream is taking a baby step in that direction, right? And all them first few baby steps when you're trying to get from this floor to the next floor, those first 3 baby steps, they may not even feel like they're pointed in your career direction, right? They are different. They are foundational. They're the first few steps that need to get built before you can start moving on to other things. Oh, my eyeballs. Think of Maslow's hierarchy of human needs, right? When we at the very bottom, we need food, water, shelter, those basic things. And if you don't have those, the world is exponentially stacked against you. When we think about homeless people, the only thing they have to look forward to is getting their next hit so they can drift away from this terrible life they have, right? So what do they need? Well, they need shelter, right? And that's what you're doing with your life, with your career, with your expanding into a side hustle. You just need that initial shelter. And that's like the worst step, the hardest step towards your career, the life you want. That first step, right? Don't need a dream job or a perfect side hustle. I know this. I don't think I've ever had my dream job. And I've never had a side hustle that was perfect. But you need momentum. You need flexibility and you need leverage. So momentum is trying to get that first step. Momentum is taking the risk and learning the hard lessons on the road, on the staircase, right? Flexibility. I'm saying this with us because a few shows back I talked about the minimum viable job that you should be getting, and you have to be flexible to say, no, that's the crap job I need to have right now, right? And the leverage is that job, because the old adage, it's easier to find a job if you have a job, right? Because employers look at you and say, oh, why haven't you been working for the last 6 months or the last year or something, right? And the first thing you say is, well, I've been job hunting. I've been looking for a job. I've been, sending out my applications. And unfortunately, the employer thinks, oh, there's something wrong with this person. Why can't they get a job? They should have had a job. With what I'm seeing on their resume right in front of me, they should have got a job, but they're not getting a job. There must be something else. So then all of a sudden they turn negative on you. But if you've been working that terrible, what we consider a terrible job, you're an accountant working fast food for the last 6 months, you're still working, right? Then you can say, oh, the firm I was working for, they laid me off, and I grabbed the McDonald's job, and just to sustain the family. But I've been looking for a better job along the road. That sounds better. And actually, all of a sudden, the employer is like, oh, this person's willing to do what needs to get done. Suddenly, they feel like they're thinking that you're a risk taker and someone who's really going to work hard. But, there was no real difference other than one person had no job as they continued their job hunt, and the other person had what we might consider a crappy job. Or, some people, they're well suited to that sort of stuff. I couldn't do a fast food job anymore. I can't be on my feet that long. I would just die. I used to do retail, especially in the video store, and I would stand for hours and hours as I was helping customers, right? So I was used to that stuff. I'm not used to that stuff now. Uh, yeah. Let's go through these topics. Topic number 1. The difference between a dream hustle and a stable hustle, stability hustle, right? You might think this is a side hustle I'm starting and I'm going to turn it into a business. And it's something that I love to do. Ideally, your dream hustle is something you love to do. But a stability hustle is something that you know you can do and you can start generating some extra income for yourself. It's not going to be something you love. It may be temporary until you get yourself out of the hole or whatnot. A lot of times, side hustle advice is unrealistic. I want to say, pick something you love and do that. But in reality, picking something you love and trying to create a business or a side hustle out of it could be the hard path. If you currently have a job or a career that is paying for your lifestyle and you start the side hustle that you love, that's okay, because you need the time to learn it and you need the stability of having this your main job while you build this passion project, so to speak, this side hustle that you love, something that you love. Whereas stability side hustles, this is something you can do. You're not going to enjoy it too much, but you'll be able to make some money. The stability side hustle comes out when there's nothing else. You're not currently working. You're on that job search and you need something else, right? That's the stability hustle. And unless you're currently stable with your job and your career and your life, taking the old advice on starting a side hustle may be wrong, may be incorrect. And there's always this, I like this, but I don't think I'm going to try to think more, or I'm going to look for something that might be better. There's a danger in waiting for the right idea. If you start some sort of side hustle and it's not the right idea, you're still going to gain some experience on this false start. And you will still advance your learning, your skills, even though it is not the right idea. And once you get going, we say, this isn't right, it's not working out, let's pivot, right? There is that's why, just one thing I'm thinking of from a technical back end, if you're going to go all the way and say, well, I'm going to start a business and I'm getting a business name and I'm registering that business name and I'm registering the business in my local area and I'm registering with the CRA or whatever, right? If you set all that up and it's Dave's Surprise Donuts, right? And you have invested all this money in that name. You start doing your surprise donut business and you realize these are crap. This is a crap product. Nobody wants it. I can't find good locations to sell my stuff. The good locations I do find, I don't make enough sales, right? But now you're stuck with Dave's Surprise Donut as your business name. So you're thinking, oh, I'm going to start selling this particular product and maybe doing a drop ship option or something or whatever. Now you're going door to door trying to sell this other product, but your business is still called Dave's Surprise Donuts, right? So if you're going to go all the way and get a business name or a company, go ahead and get a numbered company, or get something that's very generic. My business name is LBH Business Services Inc. That does not say Ian Hopfe HR Consulting, right? That does not say Ian Hopfe Indigenous EDI Consulting. It does not say Ian's HR t-shirt designs, right? I'm not going after that. I've created kind of a generic sounding business. The LBH just simply stands for Little Blue House, because me and my wife, when we purchased this house, the house looked kind of blue, and we said, well, let's get a domain that says littlebluehouse.ca. So the official business is LBH, Little Blue House Business Services. So anything kind of related to businesses, I can offer, right? So, and that's more generic. It allows me to pivot if I need to do different business services. Your stability hustle that you choose to start building, it equals cash flow. You're doing the stability hustle just to create some extra cash flow, extra $100 a month, extra $500 a month, whatever you're trying to get it to. But the stability hustle is not your passion project. It is just a way for you to get some extra money. It's not your identity, right? If you decide that selling, I don't know, a cleaner door to door, and that's not you, right? You're an artist. You want to create art, but in order to make money, you're going to be selling this household multi-purpose cleaning product door to door, right? Oh my ball. Oh, sorry guys. Oh, itchy. So don't be worried that your stability side hustle is not your passion project, and it might label you within your friends group or your identity as a person. It's not tied to this stability hustle. Your hustle doesn't have to be permanent or meaningful. It's an opportunity to make a bit of money on the side. Oh my God, there's just stuff all over my glass. I'm just falling. Consider any side hustle you choose that starts to make you money. Consider it as a great learning opportunity. Because if you're trying to build a side hustle or side gig or something, if you're not doing it, you're not going to make any money whatsoever. So you've got to learn how to do it. That was topic number 1, the difference between dream hustles and stability hustles. Topic number 2 for today: income first, identity later. Again, it's very similar. You're looking for income right now. You're not looking for your true calling in life or what you feel is you, right? You got to really separate your ego from your income decisions. If you got to do that ditch digging job and you're physically able, then that's what you got to do. We think of this survival income as a step backwards. It's not. It's more like a bracing foot, right? Instead of physically taking a whole step backwards, you've actually paused yourself and you're holding. You're holding. That's what the survival income is for. This is where we talked about the minimum viable job. I think I ended up changing the name for that too into something better. Anyway, so it's not a step backwards. It is a bracing, holding position. You've kind of moved into defense as opposed to offense, and that's fine. This is the way life is. Temporary work can protect your long-term choices because you've managed to brace yourself with temporary work or survival hustle. You're still making some money coming in. It's going to be harder mentally, physically. It is going to be harder, but it is protecting you long term. You're not losing your apartment. You're not losing your house. You're not losing your vehicle. Everything kind of just stays. And you're protecting everything. It's certainly like this rolls right into the next point of number 2 is reducing financial pressure. It increases better choices. So, at least with this minimum viable job or the survival hustle, you're not going to lose ground in life. You're not going to gain any ground. But now you have the ability to say, okay, I can make better decisions. Because we get into those spirals of life. When you're down and depressed and things like that, you're eating out more, you're spending on more entertainment things. I'm not saying you shouldn't eat out or go to the movies or anything like that. You absolutely need to do that stuff. But when you're in your bracing form and you're trying to protect your whole life, maybe that's a time to say, oh, we're only going to eat out once this week instead of 4 times, right? Or we're going to skip the movie this weekend, but we'll for sure go next weekend, right? Like these sorts of choices, as long as there's still some stability, you can make them without freaking out, so to speak. Topic number 3 today. What actually makes a good side hustle right now? Starting winter 2026, we're starting the new year. Everybody has purchased their gym membership, and you're never going to use it after next week, right? What actually makes a good side hustle right now? Think about that. I just gave away an idea. Go talk to a local gym and see if you can get paid some commissions to sell gym memberships for the next month. Like there's something like that's what we do every January. We got our goals and our New Year's resolutions, and then we fail on them. But good opportunity to sell some gym memberships, I think. Small gym is struggling. I think certainly January is the time to really push to sell new memberships. So what makes a good side hustle right now? Obviously, if you're kind of watching these tips, you maybe don't have your dream job, maybe you don't have a job, maybe you're trying to find that side hustle, or you're trying to find that stability side hustle. Well, okay. We got to think of some stuff. Low startup energy. So, what can we get going that's not going to be a lot of constraint, a lot of creating systems and possibly even spending a lot of money, right? Like, it's what we don't want right now. You want something that already has a system that you can just jump into, or something that's just really, really simple to get going. Right? Your good side hustle right now should use skills you already have. So, what do you do in life? Your career skills, your volunteer skills, your what's that called when you have a thing that you like to do? Hobby skills, right? How can you turn these sorts of things into a side hustle right now? It might be as simple as, oh, I own a vehicle, so I can start Ubering, I can start doing door dashing or something like that, or maybe I can connect with a real delivery company. I see our Amazon delivery drivers pull up now and again with just a little car and they deliver. Most of the time it's the big blue van or even a big white van, but sometimes it's just a little private vehicle. Amazon's using every resource they possibly can to do deliveries. Now, I'm not saying work for Amazon. Maybe there's other delivery companies that can do that sort of thing, right? Sorry, I'm yawning like mad. But skills you already have, so you know how to drive. That's a skill. Whatever you think you got a good skill on, because it may be easy for you to write 10-page ebook about your skill, and then you start selling that ebook. But that's marketing. That's a little harder. Anyway, that comes with it. That's what you'll learn. But if you get into something that has a system already in place, you may not need to worry about advertising and marketing because it's built into the system. And I think that's why a lot of business owners, they'll purchase a franchise because the franchise should be, when you're buying a franchise, you're buying the system. You're not really starting your own original business or anything like that. You're buying the system that they've proven that works. Now you're just following their instructions to replicate it. So you could find a low startup costing thing based on a skill you already have. Flexible hours, because you need that ability to continue your job hunt, take interviews whenever you can, right? If you're in the job hunt mode or you're looking for that lateral move to your dream job, but your stability side hustle is keeping you afloat, right? Having that flexible hours, that's great, because you may end up doing more than one thing. You may end up picking a part-time job, and your side hustle still needs a bit of time, but a different time of day. Good side hustle right now can be paused or dropped easily. That's the next step of the flexible hours. Because maybe something comes up. Maybe you do find that better job and you can drop it and just stop doing it, right? If you spent hundreds and thousands of dollars trying to get this side hustle going, it's a little harder to say, I'm just going to stop doing that, because you've put so much time into it already. So a good side hustle might be something that looks current on a resume or LinkedIn. So the idea here is that your side hustle is now being listed as your current job on your resume or on LinkedIn. So when you go to my LinkedIn, you'll see that I'm working for LBH Business Services. And I have been working there for like the last 6-7 years. So at first glance, it looks like I'm currently working. I'm currently working for myself and trying to build a business. But on the resume, it looks like, this guy's doing something. At the very least, he's doing something. It's always that fear. I don't get why. The employer is thinking, this person is running their own small business. If I hire them and their business goes good, they're just going to quit on me. Or they're a really hard-working person willing to do what they got to do to get the job done, and they're going to work for you for the next 10 years, right? So that's a neat trick. Get your side hustle going. Make it current on your resume. That's what I've been doing since I got laid off 6 years ago. Like that sort of thing. Topic number 4. Turning side work into career leverage. Now, we've already touched on this. How small gigs signal employability, right? You're doing something. You got a small little gig. This guy's an Uber driver. This guy's sells Amway. I don't know what you come up with, right? But whatever it is, it's showing that you are currently doing something and you're active. It's hard to say I've been on unemployment for the last 6 months and I've just been doing a job search. You don't look employable with that. But while you were doing that for the last 6 months, you've been doing YouTube content creation, and you list your YouTube channel or whatever, right? Like, you can almost just grab anything, whatever it is. You love pottery. So while you were laid off and on your job search, you were a personal pottery trainer. You were teaching pottery. That's something. I mean, you might not have made any money. You might not have had any clients. Wink, wink. But say you're doing pottery once a week at the local community league hall, and it's just an open program, and anybody can drop in to learn pottery. You're not making a whole lot of money. The community league might give you $50 to run their program, to run that program in their hall. Community leagues always looking for programs. I think most non-profits with a proper boardroom, training rooms, or auditoriums or gyms or whatever, I think they're always looking for programming. So yes, you've been unemployed, but you've been doing Dave's pottery, training, right? Um, just start doing something. You might not get any business, you might not get any clients, but for the last 6 months, your plan has been to train people to do pottery. So you've made some social media posts. Hey, anybody want to learn how to do pottery? Come down to my free program, or I can do a personal session with you, and it's $50 for an hour and a half session or something like that, right? Like, grab it, pick it up, call it your business. This is what you're doing. This is your side work. It's still work. You're still doing something, right? Don't be scared of it. Put it on your resume. It says you're doing Dave's pottery training. And you've been doing that for the last 6 months. I'm not saying lie. Because honestly, for the last 6 months, you've been trying to build your Dave's pottery training business. Right? It's just, you want to spend time doing something fun? You might as well be trying to build a business based on something fun. Even if you don't get a whole lot of clients or make a lot of money, this is still getting leveraged into your resume, onto your LinkedIn, to help you leverage again to a new job, a new career, because you don't look like the unemployed person who's just about to run out of EI and your whole life is about to explode, right? Nobody wants to see that. Nobody cares about that. They want to see that, oh, you left this position 6 months ago, but for the last 6 months you've been doing pottery training. Fine. That's something. Yeah. Try to translate your side work into professional language if you can. I don't know how well that's going to be. You are the head trainer for Dave's pottery training. Right? Like, try to make it sound professional if you can. Making lateral moves visible to hiring managers. So you didn't just work at XYZ company for 10 years. You worked at XY company for 10 years, but held 5 different lateral roles. You never moved into management or supervisor or anything, but you did different roles within the organizations for a sustained amount of time, a couple years each, right? That looks good. We're gonna go to number 5, but I got sneaked to the washroom, guys. So I'm gonna put the be right back screen on, and I'll be right back. Hello, hello, I'm back. I'm back. How do I turn this graphic off? Ah, there we go. So we were hitting number 5. Avoiding the side hustle burnout trap. Topic number 5. Avoiding the side hustle burnout trap. You know, the idea is that we're here to make money. Yes, we're trying to get that side hustle going. But when you're trying to monetize everything, it can really kill your motivation. I've certainly felt this a lot. I'm like, okay, I'll create this thing and I'll sell it. Nobody purchases it. I spent all that time creating this thing that I'm trying to sell. And nobody buys. So what do we got to do? What do we got to do instead? We got to make sure there's something that we're trying to sell or some way to make money with our side hustle. That's obvious. But does it have to be everything? We got 15 ebooks and a couple different courses you've created. You've spent hundreds of hours creating these things. You've designed a product and have a factory in China making it for you now or something, right? Like, you've spent a lot of time creating something so that you can monetize it. What I'm going through right now with my business is that I'm trying to let go of some things to say I want to give value. I want to give this free value to you by creating my content. And once you get to know, like, and trust me, then you're going to go up to my QR code, to all my links, and you're going to purchase something from me. Right? I have a real aversion to giving away free stuff. And I feel like, I think like most people, I feel like if I give away too much, they're not going to need me anymore. They're not going to need my services anymore because I've given them all the stuff. But I know with my business, human resources, every situation is different. There is no general blanket information that I can give you to solve every human resource issue out there. There's absolutely no way. So as an HR consultant, all I can do is, these are some of the basics. They're going to cover maybe 50% of your issues at the start, but they might not be long-term solutions. And that's where a business owner needs to sit down with the HR person or whatever service they're looking for, maybe a marketing agency or an advertising agency or whatever you need, your accountant, right? You can do the basic stuff. And this is defense with a little bit of offense mixed in, right? To go back to the football analogy that I've spoken about in other videos. When you're on the field trying to protect yourself, having those basic HR policies are important. That's your first line of defense, but they're not necessarily the offense. The offense is identifying a player that has an issue and working with them in some way, shape, or form, or a group of players. The special teams is terrible, right? Whatever it is, you now need to move forward. My free advice is all defense. My paid advice is the offense, right? So that's when you pay to have the meeting with me. We consult. I maybe go back to you with ideas and timelines for you to move forward. But for the most part, the stuff you're seeing now, the free stuff, the free value, the free advice I'm giving in all my content is defense, because I don't know your specific situation, your specific employees, and all the specific issues that happen. Nobody can. Nobody can give general advice and solve all your small business issues, right? That's me as an HR consultant. So monetizing everything kills your motivation. I'm actually having fun doing these silly lives, even though like nobody's watching it most of the time. I'm having fun because I'm able to just talk fluidly the way I like to do it. But imagine if I was only allowing people into my live streams every day if someone paid me $5 to come into the show. There's an idea of a feeling that maybe this is important information, and so I have to pay for it, so it's going to be better than the free information. But $5 is nothing, right? If you've got a choice between free information, free value, and basically the same content for $5, I mean, you're not going to see the value in paying for it, right? There has to be something else in there. So whatever your side hustle is, don't try to monetize everything. Give some free stuff out there. Make the monetized stuff, the more advanced stuff, or the in-person stuff. If you're that pottery trainer, you get free advice all the time, and you're at your pottery wheel and you're recording yourself, your fails, your funny stuff, the works of art you create, and when they come out of the kiln, you know, when it comes out and it's just beautiful, these are the videos you're showing. But you're making money off people paying for you. So they're coming out to your training, or you become their personal trainer. I'm coming out for an hour once a week for the next 6 weeks, and I'm going to train you on how to do pottery, right? And you come up with a lesson plan and work them into doing the more advanced pottery stuff, right? Knowing when not to scale. So when, you know, you're not going to buy a whole bunch of equipment and hire a whole bunch of people if your side hustle isn't actually making money. So I just spoke to someone on LinkedIn yesterday, one of my connections, and we were chatting about starting to build a business. And I fell into this trap, very similar trap when I first started my first business. I started a taxi cab business, and the plan was to run it for a few years after I got out of high school. And I started this, and I made this mistake of my radio system. It just guts me every time. So if you have a big taxi cab company, back then, everybody had the CB radios, and it would connect to the telephone at the home base, and you could talk car to car, right? And it made sense in a multi-car business. So my plan was to get this fancy radio in. We paid for a monthly subscription to be on a local tower so that all our vehicles could coordinate together and the CBUs would work. And there was a base station at home that would connect to the tower, and then the tower would broadcast to the CBs in each vehicle. And it was kind of an expensive system. And for the first time I started a business startup, I was trying to be prepared for the expansion, for the scale. And I never got a second vehicle. It was one car. It was one car that kept breaking down. I was putting basically a couple $1,000s a week into this beast. Oh, I loved it. I loved that stupid car, but it would break down constantly. I would do enough kilometers that each week that I would need an oil change every week. And then there was the brakes, and the tranny broke down, and the tires kept going. Oh my God, gravel roads. I was burning out tires like mad, and more brakes, and just every problem you could think of just kept happening with that car. The springs, the shocks, like they would stall going. Everything was going, and every week all my profits was going into just this car. Plus I had spent like $3,000 on this radio system, and I'm paying monthly for the tower access, and I was just drowning. There was no money. I was paying 50% to my drivers, but there was nothing for me. The drivers were making all the profits. I was making nothing. I would take $20 out of my cash each day and buy myself lunch while I was driving. That was my pay. There was no money for me. There was nothing. All the money went to my small loan payment. If I hadn't have bought the radios, my loan would have been smaller. I wouldn't have been paying monthly, so there'd be more cash flow into the business. Maybe I could have got a second vehicle if I didn't have all that upfront scaling expenses. So don't do that. Don't scale until your revenue can support it. Now we think, let's scale the business so we can make more money. It's backwards. Don't scale your business until it's proven to make money, right? You got to have the money coming in. Got a bit of heartburn going on here now. So, setting a limit so hustle doesn't replace one bad job with another, right? But if you're in survival hustle, you may have to put up with this for a little while. But in the long term, it may burn you out. So can you find a way to pivot your side hustle into something that's not going to burn you out? Yeah. So you've monetized everything, and you've upscaled, and you're paying for services you really don't need yet. Your cash flow is non-existent because you're paying for things in round one, phase one, that you shouldn't have been paying for until phase 3, right? You're just keep it as simple as possible to start with. But people aren't going to think I'm professional. Who cares? Then they're not your customer. That person's not your customer. Avoid the side hustle. Burnout. What's this one? Treating side work as a tool, not a lifestyle. Why did I write that? Treating side work as a tool, not a lifestyle. That seems counter to what I've been telling everybody here. Because the side hustle is a tool. And when we talked about the stability hustle, it is just a tool. When you move into a side hustle or augment your stability hustle into something that you can be more proud of, yeah, then it becomes a lifestyle, right? But that's a longer term thing. I don't know why I wrote that there. That's terrible. So topic number 6, simple weekly framework. No side hustle culture. So when you're building and growing your side hustle, the idea of hustle is that you're working mad, you're hustling, you're going fast, you're doing as much as you can. And that, from topic number 5, could be part of your burnout, right? So you want to try to keep things simple with weekly framework. You do 1 income action per week. You do 1 networking action per week. You do 1 skill maintenance action per week. You do 1 rest boundary. What? Rest. So why did I write it like that? There's all these things that are weird today. So you take the time to rest. You don't take the time to break, right? Resting is a short pause. A break is a come to stop drastic situation. So it's almost a mindset between resting and breaking. You're just taking a little rest. You're not breaking, right? 1 income action per week, right? I don't even know how to explain this. You're doing something weekly to generate income. And whatever business you have, it might be creating a YouTube video. So we go back to the pottery person. Each week, they will create 1 pottery video showing a different pottery making skill, right? I don't know what they are. I don't know how they're organized. I don't know anything about pottery. But this person makes 1 pottery training video per week and posts it to their YouTube. And you do 1 networking action per week. So you're connecting with customers or organizations. Oh, this is good. Organizations, nonprofits that need programs. They may pay you $50 to come in and do a 2-hour program for their members. Great. That's something, right? But you want to connect with each of these organizations. And don't try to connect with every organization all at once. Just do 1. Keep it simple and really concentrate on that organization that week. Learn all about them. Do your research. Find out what it takes to get your program in their facility, right? 1 skill maintenance action per week. So you're trying to run a business. You're trying to run this side hustle of training people with on pottery. Well, Shouldn't you be taking some pottery classes too? Maybe some advanced stuff? Or history of pottery classes? I don't know what you're going to need, but you want to keep your skills up at the same time. Part of that is creating those videos because you're learning how to create a YouTube video and post them, right? And make sure you do that rest. You got to rest. You got to have a rest stop. I try really hard to work my business during the day when my wife is working her regular job. So in the evenings, you could probably book me, but I might charge you more. I volunteer most of my Saturday, so I'm usually not available Saturday, but Saturday afternoon and evening. Oh, you don't want to try to book me then. I'm trying to relax. Me and my wife are gonna disappear to the movie theater or something like that, right? And Sunday is, I try to leave it. We have to do errands, but after the errands are done, I try to keep it as that's my rest day. I'm gonna play my video games and just try to have fun and disengage from the world. Now, me as a small business owner, you're thinking, oh, Ian, you could be working on Sunday. You could be doing something on Sunday. Occasionally I do. But I have that flexibility because it's my business. But I am making sure I'm getting rested up as much as possible. And rest, I just don't mean going to sleep. I mean doing something fun. Doing something I enjoy. So topic number 7 for today. This is our last topic. Reframing progress in a broken job market. We are, honestly, this is end stage capitalism and society, the economy. We're just not adapting to the technologies properly. We're not supporting the small businesses that are really responsible for job creation. Big businesses are not responsible for job creation. It's the small businesses. I've said this before. If you're in Alberta, there's 150,000 small businesses in this province, and 75% of all working adults work for a small business. That leaves 25% of people that work for big business or work for government or something like that, right? The rest of us, we work for a small business. What's going on here? Oh, mailman. It's just a mailman. Sorry, everyone. It was a tingly sound. I got a doorbell up here. Tells me when someone's at the front door. Anyway, we definitely have a broken job market right now. And in this broken job market, progress isn't promotions, it's options. So I hinted earlier about lateral moves. You might not be able to advance your career in a direct sense, but doing that lateral move might support it, because suddenly you have experience of more than one position within an organization. So that might be better to help you advance your career. And stability is a win. So that minimum viable job, right? It's stability. That stability hustle, you might not love what you're doing, but it's making some money for you. That's a win. Those are both wins. So it's not the end of the world if you don't have the best job or the best side hustle, because that's still a win. Every day you're not living on the streets is a win. So like I say, how do you help those people that are already on the streets? Well, that's our job as a society as a whole. We need to just give them a house. Anyway, in this situation, in this broken job market, flexibility is power. Too often, organizations say, we got you during this time, and you can't be late and you can't leave early and you got to do exactly what you say. Stability in a job, stability in your side hustle, right? That ability to ebb and flow and change and adapt and pivot, right? This is real power. You just have to recognize it and not be scared of it. And being strategic is not giving up. You are strategically moving into that crappy job. You're strategically starting that stability hustle, right? You are strategically doing a lateral move, not getting a pay raise, maybe even getting a demotion, but you're changing the nature of your job. That's strategic. That's not giving up. You got to do what you got to do in this broken job market. So, what's one small income move that would reduce pressure on you this month? Put your answer in the chat. Chat it up. I put the question in the chat so everyone will be able to see it. Right? What's one small income move that would reduce pressure this month for you? I got another couple questions here, maybe. What skill do you already have that someone would pay for without passion? Am I trying to say, what skill do you already have that someone would pay for? Yeah, I'm just going to end it there. I don't know. Sorry, my spelling and grammar today is terrible. These show notes are terrible. What skill do you already have that someone would pay for? Think about that. Put it in the chat if you want. People start, maybe make a comment on if they really would pay for that or not. Right? Yeah, I don't like that question. I'm not going to mention it. Right? In the comments, share one realistic side hustle you're considering. Something that you could really do. Now, don't let me limit you with the word realistic. If you can come up with a plan, it may be realistic, right? So come up with that. What's really working there, or what's not working there. So yeah, what's one realistic side hustle you're considering? Consider this. So I'm going to leave it at that today. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Take that off the screen. And I hope everyone has a good week. It's Wednesday. So start your year out right. Okay?